Morning peeps, good morning everyone. All right, let's just jump straight into this video. Don't forget, if you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button. Don't forget as well to like and share the videos. All right, the undercard has been announced for Tyson Fury versus Dillian Whyte. We did a video, I think it was yesterday, talking about the pay-per-view price. We now know what the undercard is. On that video, someone left a comment saying that Anthony Yarde would be on the undercard in a tickover. That Usyk-Aj did a video and he mentioned it. Anthony Yarde is not on the undercard, which is a bit of a disappointment because we haven't seen Anthony Yarde since he fought Lyndon Arthur. I know that Tunde and maybe Yarde, I'm guessing, we're waiting for the Joe Smith fight. Joe Smith's in the unification. Surely you got to stay busy. You just got to stay busy. So yeah, it's disappointing because it would have been a massive platform for him to fight on. I mean, in front of 94,000. That's the figure now, 94,000. But anyway, let's go through it. Isaac Lowe versus Nick Ball. I don't know if this is the co-main. It's for the vacant WBC silver featherweight title. Anthony Kakache versus Jonathan Romero, I think should be the co-main. That's for the WBO International Super Featherweight title. Big fan of Anthony Kakache, big fan. I think I've mentioned him on this channel before. I was lucky enough to be working for TalkSport when he fought Leon Woodstock. So I was like ringside watching him and I was thinking, this kid looks really, really good. And it's funny because immediately I was thinking, chuck him to world level, but it's difficult because Leon Woodstock's British level. So I'm not quite sure where Kakache is. I don't know if he's a European level or fringe world. But in Jonathan Romero, he's fighting a former world champion, albeit at super bantamweight. Romero was the IBF super bantamweight champion, lost his belt to Kiko Martinez. Kiko's been around for ages. That was back in 2013. Since then, he's won every fight. Yes, not a great level, but he's unbeaten in like 10 fights. So it is a step up for Kakache. Romero is better than Leon Woodstock. So let's see what Kakache can do. I think Kakache is around 32, 33 now. So look, they've got to, if he wins this, they've got to roll the dice. You've just got to put him in against someone of note or maybe even a world title fight. That's what you've got to do. David Adelaide takes on Chris Healey. Adelaide unbeaten. Chris Healey's 9-8. I think I would have expected Adelaide to maybe take a bit more of a step up than this. It's an 8-rounder. Tommy Fury's taken on a guy called Daniel Bocianski, who is 10-1, but you look at the record of Bocianski, he hasn't fought anyone. Although people will say, but at least, you know, Tommy Fury's fighting someone with a winning record. Don't be fooled by that. Carol, I think this next three fights are the free-to-air portion on BT Sports and not the pay-per-view element. Carol Itoma, who's 6-0 light heavyweight, he's taken on Michael Chiach, who's 2-11. Kurt Walker, second fight, TBA. And Royston Barney-Smith, and his second fight's taken on Jaythuis Foury. Look, it's not a great fight card. I expected it to not be a great fight card. All the money has gone with Tyson Fury and Dillian Whyte, and maybe it's just a case of you can't sort of pay enough to put a good fight card together. The disappointing thing with this is that this is, and everyone's saying it is, the biggest British heavyweight fight of all time, or at least of this generation, of this era. I mean, 94,000, it's a big thing. Tyson Fury homecoming, Dillian Whyte, who's not had his opportunity for so many years, blah, blah, blah. Like, sell it. Like, really go for it. Like, you know, say you're not, go for it. Chuck Anthony Yarde on there. Like, all these fights you could have chucked on there. Like, if this was really planned properly, and look, they've known about this for a while now, you really could have done a Daniel Dubois on there. You could have, I know he's got the Trevor Bryan fight, but you could have worked something. You could have had Anthony Yarde on there. You could have had all these fights on there to really make it the biggest event in Britain this year. You could have done that, and they haven't done it. So that's disappointing. What I also find disappointing as well is, obviously we know that Tyson Fury is with Frank Warren, but we also know he works with Bob Arum and Top Rank, who are co-promoting this. Let's not forget. Why is there not a couple of Top Rank fighters on there? Like, why have we not seen a couple of Americans over here? It's disappointing. It is. Look, I said yesterday, I'm not going to contradict myself. I'm only tuning in for the main event. But I said this because I knew the undercard was going to be shit. If it was a stacked undercard, you're tuning in. Like, if it was Daniel Dubois versus Trevor Bryan on the undercard, you're going to tune in. If it was Anthony Yarde versus whoever, you're tuning in. You're going to go in. You're going to start early. Now you're thinking, you know, it's almost one of those ones where it's on in the background. I'm pointing because my TV's that way. But you're like, you're just waiting for the main event. And that's a shame because, again, you're talking about the biggest British heavyweight fight, if not ever, in a very, very long time. And they've really undersold this this undercard. They really, really have. Now, I'm a bit I'm in a bit of a tricky situation. I don't really know what to do. It'd be good to get your advice on this one. I was supposed to be at this event for DAZN. Some of you might say, but DAZN are not covering it. But DAZN, what they do, especially in America, they send people to the events. You kind of do stuff at the weigh-in. I don't know if you guys remember when Canelo fought Caleb Plant, Ak and Barak, who do DAZN, they were there for the weigh-ins. They were there after the fight. They were there in the fight as well. They're going to do exactly the same thing here. But it's been blocked. It's been blocked. I don't want to get into why, but politics. So I'm not going to be there. Now, I've been offered a ticket, which is very, very kind. And thank you to the team that offered me a ticket. I have been offered a ticket. But I'm thinking I might do a proper live watch along instead. And what I mean is not just me. I'm talking about a couple of guests, very Joe Rogan-esque. A couple of guests, me on the TV, and we do a live watch along. Or should I go? I'm very and ahhing about it. I've got a couple of days to think about it before that ticket goes. So yeah, I'll let you guys know. It could be an epic live watch along, but it's also one where you don't want to say you weren't there. You know, it's one of them, you know them people that always were like, I was there when so and so fought so and so. So I want that, but I do think it could be a good live watch along as well. Yeah, decisions. All right, let's see. What we got here. A photo here, Dimitri Bivol looking really big and thick, grinds hard for Canelo Alvarez title defense. I'm going to maybe be a bit controversial here. I think Bivol wins. Said it. I think he wins and he doesn't get the victory, if you know what I mean. I've said that I think Bivol's his toughest fight since Golovkin. I think Bivol's tougher than Caleb Plant. Bivol's tougher than and better than Billy Joe Saunders, tougher and better than Callum Smith. I think this is his toughest fight. He's fighting a live opponent here, very live, higher weight class, unbeaten. I think Bivol could beat Canelo. I'm not saying that he'll get the result, but I think it's one of those ones where after the fight, you'll be like, I think Bivol took that, you know. I think it's one of those ones. We'll see. Joe Joyce versus Joseph Parker. Talks continue. Good progress being made. Love it. Love that fight. I really do. I spoke to Joseph Parker, me and Tony Bellew, in the immediate aftermath of that win against Chisora, and he wasn't very keen on the Joe Joyce fight. He was like, we'll sit down, look, talk with my team. Now, I think maybe he's thinking, let's just go for it. Let's go. I mean, as much as, everyone thinks that Joe Joyce can't be stopped, he can be. I mean, Joe Joyce can be hurt. I was there for the Carlos Takam fight, and I mean, Takam just ran out of gas, but he was landing clean. And there were a couple of times, I remember looking at Sam Jones ringside, I was thinking there's a couple of times where I'm like, whoa, this is getting a bit risky here. Joseph Parker's a lot better than Carlos Takam. And what I think, and look, don't get me wrong, Joe Joyce is better than Chisora. But what we saw in that Joseph Parker-Chisora fight was a guy now that's letting his hands go, a lot more nimble on his feet. I think the work he's doing with Andy Lee is starting to sort of bear fruit. And I think it's a really, really good fight and a very, very close fight as well. I wouldn't know who to pick in this one. So let's hope that can be announced, because obviously that fight will happen over here as well in the UK. And again, it continues that sort of the good run we're on right now. Eddie Hearn here saying Golovkin has been very inactive. Murata is really dangerous fight. Okay, let's, Eddie Hearn's right. Golovkin has been active. Murata's been more inactive. Murata's not fought since December 2019. You heard me right, December 2019. And yes, it was a knockout win, but you got to ask against who. So, yeah, the only thing, and look, Father Time could catch up with GGG Saturday morning, but GGG should beat Murata. He really should. Murata's a good amateur boxer, so is GGG. I'd still favour GGG to stop him. I really would. Felix Trinidad here saying, I believe in Ugas. He will make us all proud in Spence fight. It's going to be a good fight, this one. It's going to be a really good fight. It's going to go down to the wire. I don't see Spence stopping Ugas. I think Ugas can hurt Spence. Really looking forward to this one. I almost feel like it's kind of, I'm not going to say it's been forgotten, because it certainly hasn't been forgotten. It's a big fight, April 16th, but I think we're so focused on, obviously, maybe from a UK standpoint anyway, the Fury-Whyte fight, what's going on with AJ, Canelo, and that fight, maybe even a bit of Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano, that we forgot that, in a couple of weeks' time, in less than a couple of weeks' time, Errol Spence will defend these belts in a unification fight. And, you know, fingers crossed the winner takes on Terence Crawford. This bit's interesting. Brooke Eubank, weight finalised, says promoter Sauerland. Sides still negotiating splits. I mean, I think I saw something that Chris Eubank said he's willing to come down to I think it was 157 or 158. I still think this is a massive mistake from Kell Brook. But we'll see. I mean, he wants it. I mean, these two have kind of had their, I was going to say back and forth. It's not really been a back and forth, but they've had their issues since Brook stepped in to fight GGG when it really was supposed to be Chris Eubank. I still want the Conor Benn fight for Kell Brook. I think it makes more sense. I think, you know, Conor Benn said he'll go up to 150. That's a weight that Brook would make, not comfortably, but it would make it. I think it's a better fight, but I mean, I'm not going to complain. It's not like I'm not going to watch Kell Brook versus Eubank, because I will, but I'd favour Eubank in that one. Although Brook's a much better boxer, like much better, Eubank's just a bit too big for him, man. Bit too big. Yeah, this was to be expected, this bit of news here. Lee Selby, former featherweight champion, retires. He got beat by Lemos in Argentina, got stopped, I think, in the 5th round. I spoke to Lee Selby yesterday on my show with Gareth A. Davis. I think the podcast is probably out now, so go and listen to it if you want. Lee Selby in good spirits, There wasn't, you know, this kind of disappointment. One thing I did ask him, though, because I said to him, what was your best performance? And he's like, my best performances were in the gym. So normally I wouldn't push a fighter about, like, you know, did you feel like you underachieved them? But because he said that, I said, look, you were British champion, Commonwealth, European world champion, but do you think you underachieved? And he said, yeah, he thinks he massively underachieved in his career, especially for all the attributes he had. Very good boxer. At featherweight, obviously, a lot bigger than most of the guys as well, hence why he jumped to lightweight. But yeah, good fighter. But maybe it was a case of, and you hear about these guys that look good in the gym, but maybe on fight night just don't quite deliver. But I think he's been harsh on himself. I think he had a good career. I mean, look, again, you've done it the right way. British, Commonwealth, European world champion, legit wins. You've got to respect that. I think maybe when he thinks about regret, I think it probably is the Josh Warrington fight. He went into that fight as favourite, and then it would have maybe sold the Carl Frampton fight, and then Josh Warrington just kind of derailed him, and that's obviously when he went up. So, yeah, I can understand. Big news coming out of amateur boxing recently. I say amateur boxing, national boxing really, that Cuba, or the Cubans, will now turn pro. Obviously the ones that have turned pro are ones that have run away from Cuba. So we think of the ones over the years that, like Lara and Rigondeaux and Luis Ortiz, Frank Sanchez, they've all ran away. But now, all the ones that are just incredible amateurs are able to turn pro. And that's a big problem for a lot of boxers. I think I tweeted, I'm gonna say, what did I tweet? I'm gonna just find that tweet so I can get the exact words of it. 2 secs. Yeah, that's it. I tweeted, you better get your world titles now. Andy Cruz is on his way. Andy Cruz, fantastic amateur, really special. It'll be interesting to see what weight he comes in at to the pros. It'll be interesting to see who signs him. Like, everyone is going to want to sign him because special talent. He'll probably come in at super feather, maybe lightweight, but I'm thinking maybe super feather first and then jump up the weight classes. But there are so many good Cubans that I'm happy for them. Look, they do this for their country, and that's their thing. You hear them in interviews, it's all about their country, all about their country. But now they can make some money as well. They can make some money. So it's good for, yes, you win the medals for your country, but now I guess there's a possibility to even make more change for your country because you can make some money and then distribute that into your communities. So I think I'm really excited about seeing the Cubans turn pro. And again, if I'm a lot of these fighters right now, not that I'm worried, but you will be concerned with a couple of them. You will. You have to be. A bit here from Emmanuel Tego, member fights Ryan Garcia this weekend. Says Ryan Garcia knows he's facing the best. That's why he's changed his coach. I don't know if that's the case. I mean, Tego's good, but all of his fights, I think 99% of his fights have been in Ghana, so it's difficult to know the level. He's unbeaten. Sorry, that's a lie. He lost his first fight by knockout. Since then, he's gone unbeaten. But Ryan Garcia, they've chosen Tego for a reason. Sometimes, you know, banana skins happen, but he's been chosen because they've watched him, they've watched the tapes. Okay, we can beat this guy. We then can move on. So it will be a massive, massive upset if that was the case. Team Usyk, we expect to finalise Joshua rematch details within 2 weeks. So that is venue and date. Venue will probably be the UK, although the stories about Saudi Arabia are not going away. Saudi Arabia probably just going to put more money on the table. I have a feeling that because of what's happened with Fury-Dillian-Whyte doing 94,000. Look, and I don't know if this is going to be a DAZN or Sky show. It's likely to be Sky, by the way. But if it is a Matchroom DAZN show, I have a feeling they're going to want to stay in Wembley to just one-up Frank Warren and Dillian-Whyte and Tyson Fury by going and trying to break that 94,000. And AJ Usyk will probably break it. So I have a feeling that could sway them to stay in the UK and just put one up on Frank Warren and Tyson Fury. That's what I think will happen. This is quite a damning indictment on British judges that Tyson Fury versus Dillian-Whyte will have no British judges. What does that say about the judging in Britain, that Frank Warren and Tyson Fury, and I think even Dillian-Whyte said we don't want any British judges for this fight. So no British judges at all, which is surprising. I'll end on this one. Clarissa Shields, I saw a tweet from Eddie Hearn. I think he was on the DAZN boxing show, and he's like, I don't see how Clarissa Shields beat Savannah Marshall. I don't even think she'll outbox her. It's a ridiculous statement, ridiculous statement. And look, I mean, you're talking about a two-time Olympic gold medalist, two-time amateur world champion, two-weight undisputed, which is ridiculous. I know people might say, yeah, it's easy to get that. Well, why haven't others done it? Two-weight undisputed champion, unbeaten as a pro, and you don't see a way in which she can outbox Savannah Marshall, who I've got a lot of respect for. Come on, Eddie, stop it. Guys and girls, peace.